Captain's Log, Subdate 200824.9. The stage has been set. The Gungans intend to arrive tomorrow. It is uncertain at this time, with Scythie teleporting 6 hours after they arrive. Not gonna lie here, I have a sneaky suspicion this is going to get messy. Welcome everyone to This Week at Twitter, or because this was meant for Friday and I got busy building with the help of Waffle. Last week at Twitter, which doesn't sound as good as twat. Luat? No, it's not quite right. So today we're going to go through 7 things I saw that took my interest, and tomorrow we shall resume regular programming. I promise. To start, Trenton Wheeler 6, who asks, what emotion does this bring you? The image is the Twitter notification bell with 80 notifications. Understandably, we'll get to understand what he felt when he saw that because his tweet blew up. For me, I get anxiety, but because I don't tweet much, I often worry I've been tagged in on something or perhaps I've said something wrong. It doesn't happen very often though, so I seem to be okay, but it will always be a niggling feeling. I also worry because there are going to be instances where I can't reply to people because of how many notifications there are. For that I'm very sorry, by the way. But in all seriousness, I find it a tad amusing that they ask what it brings others, but they never explain what it made them feel, to go on to then shamelessly plug, which there's nothing wrong with that. Next we go to Soft Fairy GF, who tweeted, I hate, the air quotes, I'm black and I'm not offended type, 2 N-words, 3 letters each, put together to make one word, not going to say it. Half the time I'm sure as hell they aren't black behind that screen. This in and of itself is quite a nasty thing to say, because it is encouraging, let's say, racial tensions, anger towards each other if they don't agree with you as well, and if they do not agree with you and they also happen to be of the same race, they are the wrong type of your race. People are going to disagree over everything, and I want this point to be quite clear. Just because someone disagrees doesn't mean they're not the same as you, racially. It just means race is not a factor. When it comes to discussions of race, it could be argued it should become a factor, but that doesn't mean everyone's going to be in unison because. I know others like to use the terms brotherhood, sisterhood, brothers, sisters, and all those other variations, but it turns out people aren't as unified as you might think when it comes to race. And it is likely many of those on Twitter aren't in fact black, but the way you handled the criticism from those that are black by blocking them is a damning statement for how mature mentally you are, along with how fragile you are, and how incapable you are of handling any level of criticism. Soft Fairy GF. Jenny Duncalf 2 tweeted this to me, or tagged me. It is a video of someone called Katie. She's not a very nice person, and I've seen her crop up in various areas. There is a 45-second clip that I will not play, because there is audio within the clip, and so I'll link the tweet below, that concerns a puppy. In the video you can clearly hear the puppy making some rather loud, high-pitched sounds. But, for the life of me, I can't imagine what Katie was doing when she went off camera, because I didn't have the full context. I just have a clip that sounds like she's gone off camera to harm the puppy. Others have pointed out to me that this is something Katie is known for doing, because the puppy keeps having accidents. Accidents are normal. There is a puppy that sometimes comes here. When I came back from work, I'd found the puppy had come upstairs and taken a massive dump in my bedroom. Did I care? Not really. I got someone else to go clear it up. I then went and had my breakfast, with the puppy sat on my leg. 3 hours later, the puppy came upstairs, and the puppy dumped on the landing. So I went out onto the landing, picked it up with some toilet paper and flushed it down the toilet, and then got some wipes and cleaned the carpet. At no point did I think, right, now's the time to toe punt a puppy. Do you know why? Because we shouldn't hit animals. Katie, you have a track record, and it is a damning statement of your country that nothing is actually done to protect animals. It's also a damning statement of the education system where you somehow think it's okay to harm a puppy. So even though earlier I said there was very little context, I was able to find it. Thankfully, I'll link it below. So the next segment would ordinarily be called Americans Ruin Everything. With this, no more tea bags, instant tea, 20 cups of hotter, tastier tea, spray. It's a squirty cream thing that makes, air quotes, tea. This does, on the face of it, come across as a very, very American thing, like your squirty cheese, which is pure blasphemy in your mouth. And it is one of the very few times I will actively seek to judge anyone that likes that trash. As someone that grew up on E-numbers and no frills food from Quick Save, which was non-biodegradable like the carrier bags it was carried within, yeah, I've become a bit of a snob, and I judge because I've suffered enough of it. But this is not Americans Ruin Everything. That is a creation from a gentleman in Surrey. The gentleman's name is Guy Woodall, and he believes that the convenience of not having to sit around and wait for your tea to brew is a major selling point, and that the technology used enables people to produce a tea that has a superior taste to an ordinary tea bag. Hard to believe an Englishman would be so fundamentally wrong on this, and Rev Breakfast, the person that tweeted this out, I am sorry that your eyes had to see something worthy of an exterminatus. Can we have a Surrey-related themed Brexit? Surrexit, perhaps, which sounds weird, but let's go with that. I was going to scream into my microphone, but I don't think it right. There is only one correct way to serve tea. I'll have you all now tell me the correct way to serve tea. If you say microwave, you are blocked. Maggie Gosney, full-time librarian in Kent, has a public service announcement for you all. Please, do not put a library book in the microwave to kill the coronavirus. It sets fire to the barcode we put on the book. I'm guessing the book in question was 50 Shades of Trash. Or was it perhaps Twishite? Or a script for Justice League, Green Lantern, and Wolverine Origins? In all seriousness though, when it comes to tackling coronavirus, there are in fact ways you can protect a book. If you have to, wear a face shield, wear marigolds, and make sure they are spick and span clean. Or perhaps, and this one's a novel idea, but under the circumstances, it might work. Have you considered just buying a Kindle and buying the book on your Kindle? It is, after all, a little easier to wipe it down with an antibacterial wipe or a spit polish if you're feeling really dangerous. Twitter has terms of service that we all must abide. Some get around it and create multiple profiles because they are essentially being targeted for shermination. Or was it termination? You know, I'm not sure which one's worse, to be honest. So we'll go with shermination for now. Doxing is in the terms of service as something you should not and cannot do, or you will be suspended. Insert Emily Gorchensky. Does anyone have high-quality images of the Trump boat rally that show boat names or registration numbers so that I can start doxing? To which Brian Lewis replied, to Twitter Safety and Jack Dorsey, are we just going to allow this blue checkmark to threaten people with doxing? To which she, in her infinite wisdom, decided to show that Jack, in fact, follows her. It's nice to see Jack's inner bias showing, and it is highly unlikely anything will come of this, which is an equally damning statement. I stand fully against doxing. Jack should too. If he is to abide his own terms of service, Emily Gorchensky should be suspended. But he won't, because he's a coward, a very biased one who has on multiple occasions during hearings and committees admitted his site is biased, when it comes to politics especially. But I do want to rail on Emily for a second. If your only way of dealing with somebody, is to go out of your way to find out who they are, to harass them, you are pathetic, and cannot win an argument on merit alone. which is further proof that people that support Antifa or engage or act within Antifa's little umbrella are typically cowards. Robert Earnshaw. All the far-right Twitterers are disappearing off to Parler. If only there was some real-life equivalent. Some rubbish, soggy island where they can be free to shout their nonsense. Oh yeah, there is one. The UK. The only reason the far-right Twitterers are going to Parler is because they keep getting silenced on Twitter. And as I just showed you, those on the far left can get away with virtually anything, including doxing, without consequence. Those who are on the far right usually for fake news, or because they're a bit too spicy on the memeage. I will not give opinion on the site Parler itself. I don't really use it much. I had tried to grow, but it turns out I'm not very good at doing things like that. As far as the UK goes, our island is soggy, yes. And you can shout your nonsense here because even though we have hate speech law, you are free to speak. But I would point out, more far-right people get shut down in this country than they do anywhere else. If your only argument was, but your Prime Minister is right-wing, it's a very weak argument. Robert Earnshaw. It's also worth noting some of the arguments espoused by those who are far-right are actually correct. Not all, some, but you're not willing to admit it because it came from the mouth of a far-right Twitterer who's on Parler.